I did not edit the text in the thumbnail. That is a real tweet from YouTuber Twomad, who has over 5 million subscribers on his 2 biggest channels. If you're not familiar with Twomad, he got really popular from his gaming edits, and then he segued into real life comedy type videos where he made memes like Goodnight Girl. You might know him from that if you've seen him before. And I want to be fully transparent with you guys. I have had some personal interactions with Twomad, so I kind of want to lay that all in the line so you can decide yourself if I'm being biased with the facts of what's going on right now or not. I first discovered Twomad back when he was making Overwatch edits on YouTube. I thought they were really funny, and he did this special on his channel where you could sponsor one of his videos for $500. So long story short, I sent Twomad $500. I sponsored one of his videos. He shouted out my channel. I think I had like 2,000 subscribers at the time on my main channel. My videos at the time were utterly horrendous. I didn't really get a boost on my channel from that, and I kind of didn't expect to. I know shoutouts don't really work, but I was happy to support somebody who was kind of starting out on their own, doing YouTube as a full-time thing, and I found his content really funny and entertaining, so I sponsored him. After that, we started casually talking from time to time. He would give me little bits of YouTube advice and we would kind of talk about whatever. And then a little bit later on, my channel was kind of blowing up from the bathwater saga. Don't ask. I asked him if he would send me a jar of his bathwater so I could make a video about it, and he did. He mailed me a jar of his bathwater, and I made a video on it. Sometime after that, I started making my Uncancelable series, and Twomad obviously was up at the top of the list. I made a video detailing all the different ways people had tried to cancel him up until that point. That was about a year ago, and since then, about 1 million people have seen that video. After that, we kind of gradually stopped talking. There was no big falling out or anything, but the conversation just naturally tapered off, and hadn't heard from him in a while. Fast forward until 2 days ago, and a lot of stuff has come out, and it makes me extremely sad. So what are the claims being made against Twomad, and what is the evidence? Content warning: if you are sensitive to abuse, relationship abuse, sexual assault, harassment, anything like that, just turn this video off right now. You are going to regret watching this. Also, as we go through these, be aware that Twomad has changed his display name and his profile picture multiple times over the last couple of days, so just look at the @ when we're looking at the Twitter. Don't let the other stuff confuse you. One thing you should know about Twomad is he is Schrodinger's poster. You never know if he's serious or not. He is always making jokes. He will mix jokes with truths. He will just say whatever he thinks is funny and mix it with something that's serious. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. It's really hard to read, and I think a lot of times he thinks that he can just say funny things and people will be like, oh, this whole thing was a joke. I don't think that's going to work this time. Let me show you why. So on June 24th, a person on Twitter said, "You post like 1 million times on Twitter, bro. Please log off and take some sort of break. You look like you have no life right now." And Twomad replied, "I have a girlfriend, bro. Look." It turns out that this backfired on Twomad massively because Twomad is an adult and this is a minor. And not only is this a minor, this is a dead trans kid. He got a lot of backlash for this. While that backlash was going on, someone called Goldie Bell, I'm going to call her Bella throughout this, she tweeted, "Twomad is psychotic. What he said about the trans girl is genuinely how he is in real life. He is way worse in real life. Most psychopathic person I've ever known. If you're reading this, Mudea, this isn't an excuse to try to talk to me again. I'm completely serious about involving the police." Mudea is Twomad's first name. Twomad replies and says, "Okay." And then he says, "Call the cops, do it. They'll be like, who asked?" And then this person adds on to that 7. They say, "Not to mention he's a piece of shit who stalked my friend for 7 months and sexually assaulted her. Then he was enough of a moron to admit it on video in one of his many apologies to her."
Okay, I at least want to take responsibility for what the fuck I did. Like the way I treated you and like viewed you, this is not like okay. Like I pushed past your fucking boundaries just for like my own fucking self-serving reasons. I made like sexual advances you weren't comfortable with, you know what I mean? And I truly do like regret all of that like so much.
So that was the video. Sounds like Twomad genuinely heartfelt apologizing for something while driving. It looks like he's being recorded, maybe underneath the dashboard or something. Bella goes on to tweet, "Spam from Twomad after I blocked him for essaying me. He made 6 burner numbers after this to also spam me on, as well as Instagram accounts and a Twitter account. If you want proof, I have all of it. Just ask." You can see him send texts actively at the end of this clip. So this girl's basically saying, Twomad made 6 phone numbers just to text her because she kept blocking him and he kept making phone numbers just to send her messages. So let's see what those messages look like. Anything that is gray is allegedly coming from Twomad. Again, Mudea is his name. He says he's going to get help. Give him a week. Give me a week. I'll get all the intake stuff done and send you a photo. So he's saying he's going to go get help, like medical professional help. And then he just sends like a bunch of emojis. He says, how about you give me a sign that if I actually do therapy, you might come back. He sends all these screenshots of him going to therapy and then just starts spamming her with emojis. She played the voice notes on Twitter. It's just him making goofy sounds. Yeah, I don't think she's replied one time during this entire thing, and he's just sending a ton of messages. I've been crying. You know what it feels like? My soul being ripped out right in the chest. I just need a drop of love. I'll feel better. Please give. And then, yeah, as she said, he's still actively sending messages right here. And then during this whole thing, Twomad went live on Twitch.
Whatever. I don't like cancel culture anyways. So many fucking dudes that you guys trust on a day-to-day basis have done that same shit, if not worse. It's common! Common! All the time! It happens. Because it's just like biological, like... Am I like the most sweet boy ever? Like my parents, I'm not no fortunate son.
He doesn't actually name what it was, but this does to me seem to confirm that something happened. And he hasn't said that nothing happened, but he does attempt to discredit Bella, which we're about to get to. But just keep this clip in mind as we go forward. So after seeing that Twitch VOD, Bella tweeted to the VOD, "Stop calling me your girlfriend. We never agreed on ever being in a relationship. I'm not insecure about my face. I look fine. You're literally balding. Worry about yourself. I never let you pay for anything. Actually, you spent $4 on chicken nuggets from McDonald's and I offered to pay you back, but nice try. Peep the third picture," is his response. "I didn't want you to buy me things because I knew you would just use it as leverage. Stop lying, dude." These are messages allegedly from Twomad. "Do I think you have like huge problems I may have contributed to? Yes, you need therapy and I know rank 1 therapist." Bella says, "I don't like talking about it because I don't want to look like I'm trying to get something out of you." And then Twomad says, "How about you get my sperm out of me?" So then we go back to Twitter and Twomad is tweeting. Twomad's deep into his 2-day long Twitter rant. He tweets over 400 times in the next 2 days. Twomad went on Twitter and said, "Never actually assaulted nobody in my life, but not gonna stop that crazy bitch from lying on YouTuber guy." And then Bella says, "I'm unblocking you for this. You know exactly what you did. You were groping me as I was crying, trying to leave your house, and then stalked me for months afterward. I genuinely hate you more than anyone on this planet. You ruined my life." Twomad posted a meme that said "N-words come out of nowhere to hate." And then Bella followed up by saying, "You pressured me into things I clearly never wanted to do. When I said, does it matter if I don't want to, you said no. You even told XQC and his girlfriend about it that day while laughing about it because you thought it was funny. You are cruel." Here is a video that Bella posted. She said, "I don't even care anymore, man. Does this work? We can all drop this now, please. He's bad. Let's move on. Final point, just don't befriend him. I don't care if you watch his content. I advise that if you followed me just for this situation, please unfollow me. The rest is being handled offline." She later clarified that the reason she said that is because she doesn't want to gain followers from this. She doesn't want to get clout from this. She has not been tweeting nearly as much as Twomad, so if anyone is trying to get clout from this, honestly, it's Twomad. He's doing an amazing job of bringing attention to this, and in my opinion, a horrendous job of responding to it, which we'll see even more of in a moment. Let me show you this video that she tweeted of the burner phones. So these are all more phone numbers, more conversations, and he's just texting her all this stuff trying to get a reaction. He says, "I'm in hell right now. It's going to cost me more than you and my friends. It's going to cost $350 a week, and that's all right as long as you unblock. If you don't unblock me, I'm just going to go." She says, "Are you able to have another person there? Why not? Legal stuff sometimes prevents it." So they're talking about going to therapy together, and then he just continues to make phone numbers, which is just wild. Like, if somebody blocks you and you're continuing to make phone numbers, like, what are you doing? He says, "I'd hate to be a part of what happened to you, so here we go. I liked you an insane amount. That's why I put you through a lot. The shit that came out of my mouth, text, randomly fucked up, evidently misogynistic. Well, I didn't even notice I was saying it again and again, reopening your trauma. The hundreds of texts and calls scarred you for life. You tell me not to do things and I do them. Harass your roommates, talked about them even when you told me not to, over and over. Saying I wouldn't, lying straight to your face over and over. Constantly, all the many times I'd scare you, just fear, calling you a manipulator, not reading the room, ignoring it. For being incredibly difficult to trust. Doing 200 milligrams of ketamine 3 to 7 times a week. Viewing women the way I did. I do feel guilt. Losing the first girl. Been tough, but it's so small compared to what I did. It won't happen again. I know you cared about me more than I cared about you. You basically get the idea. He's admitting to harassing and being on drugs and just being a menace. And this is all in writing. I'm addicted to drugs with the emotional maturity of around a high school student or less, possibly a psycho-sociopath. Serious, deep problems that require serious intervention. Untangling or end up broken bad man with a trail of innocent victims scarred for life and a victimhood complex that allowed what I inflicted on you unduly. I'm getting professional help. My intention is my problems won't be inflicted on another innocent person ever again. This is me apologizing. I'm sorry. I'm hoping you risk your well-being by interacting with me again. I should be so lucky if you don't respond. And if you don't, I promise to never interact with you again in any capacity humanly possible for good. This dude is so thirsty that he is just saying whatever. How can you go back on Twitter after this and say it was all a joke? This doesn't read like a joke, man. So then Twomad tweeted, when my hoe has to go to cringe 9 to 5 because she chose art school degree fast and loose because rich parents and gets no following long term, and I still get tons of YouTube views, don't go crying to your mama because you're down on your own in the real world. So he's basically saying Bella has a cringe 9 to 5 because she got a worthless degree from college and lives off of her parents and she has no followers, and yet he's saying, me, Twomad, I get tons of YouTube views. I guess he's saying that he's living off of his YouTube views, even though he hasn't posted anything in many months. Bella replied and said, you literally made and signed this. So this says, for the next 60 days under all facets of interaction with Bella online or in person, Mudea agrees to. Mudea will not demand, entertain sexual activity with Bella. Mudea will be required due to his history demonstrating wild, uncontrollable psychological problems and disregard to other people around him to be hyper aware that he is prone to easily scaring, emotionally damaging Bella. Bella may use the word facade. When this word is used, Mudea will be required to slowly, gently, earnestly process as to how he's wronging, scaring, hurting Bella with his behavior, refuses to process. If he cannot understand, deflects, lies, to not understand, and change to Bella's satisfaction, Mudea must concede peacefully and the exit clause is executed. Mudea cannot lapse on any part of this agreement. Any exception at all will execute the exit clause. Exit clause. Bella can exit this agreement at any time. Bella agrees she will not exit this agreement unless she has made a full analysis of our relationship and is completely sure that her well-being is contingent on me not interacting with her at all, that she does not want any more time spent hearing from me. Mudea agrees to move on with his life. And then it's signed by Twomad. So this is like some kind of half-baked contract that somebody came up with. She claims that he came up with it, and then he claims that one of her friends wrote this. I don't know if it's really relevant because this is signed by Twomad. He doesn't dispute that that's his signature. I don't understand why he would be agreeing to things that weren't true. Why would he be saying stuff on camera and signing agreements for things that never happened? Unless he really is that thirsty that he's willing to put in video and on writing, like admitting to stuff that is false, to falsely incriminate himself just for a taste. And then he even says in here that he's not even going to look for a taste. So why would he do any of this stuff? It doesn't make any sense. So then Twomad's tirade on Twitter continues. He says, I never sexually assaulted nobody in my life, but not going to stop crazy from lying on YouTuber guy. And then he says, why does he keep posting? Don't make it worse. Is he manic? I'm fine. I feel very weird, but fuck that bitch. I don't give a fuck. And I forgot the rest. I was going to say, oh, I'm sober as fuck. So he does this thing all the time. He switched perspective in the middle of the sentence. So this first part, he's like making fun of his detractors on Twitter. He's saying, why does he keep posting? Don't make it worse. Is he manic? And then he switches to Twomad. So now Twomad is speaking, I'm fucking fine. I feel very weird, but fuck that bitch. I don't give a fuck. I think this is important because a lot of people just write off what Twomad does and says, saying, oh, he's mentally ill. Oh, he's having a breakdown. He's not responsible for his own actions. He says multiple times during this tirade that he's not having a manic breakdown. Drama Alert tweeted, a victim of Twomad's has come forward revealing that he trapped and essayed her. Following the incident, he sent her an apology video and proceeded to stalk and spam her for 7 months. In one of the occasions, he even sent her a contract where he wouldn't make sexual advances. Twomad responded saying, also, I never stalked her. Oh my God, what if anything, she stalked me by showing up at my house unannounced at 3 a.m. bro. Again, another person on Twitter says, my brother, are you going through a manic episode right now? And Twomad says, no. Then Twomad just starts screaming into the void. He goes, you want me to suffer for it? Hell nah. And you know what? I would do it again. And then he says, okay, no, I wouldn't actually do it again. Hurting myself, not in the cards. Sorry. He says, by the way, not a single word in that apology video was written by me. It was actually written by one of her friends, LOL. Then why did you sign it? And then he tweets, bruh, I did not sexually assault anyone, Lamal. This is life-ruining male cancel culture bullshit. Did she mention how I did Patrick Bateman arm flex in my TV reflection while she let me hit? Then the kicker, he tweets, I love kids. And then Kavos replies, just get off Twitter. Keemstar replies, with all these tweets, he's been caught in multiple lies and has been outing himself. Why do you guys keep saying get off Twitter if he's guilty, which many of these videos and screenshots seem to prove he very much is? Why try to protect him? And then he says, I mean, this shit is fake news. We've been through lying woman cycle a million times. I don't know what else I can do but post. I ain't explaining shit unless she does first, so I can absolutely cross-reference the but that's why she will never ever just simply tell what happened. And then he says, drop the details, explain what happened. You just forgot, but I'm so guilty, lol. So he's basically saying, like, if Bella's gonna accuse him, she needs to give a detailed accounting of what actually happened. Even though before she did say in one of those tweets that he groped her as she was trying to leave and she was crying. Twomad tweets, so Aiden Revival just let me know that Bella told him her side of the story in DMs, drop that shit, go. This is Aiden Project, YouTuber, and Aiden quote tweets this and says, no, her side is public now. I gave you the courtesy of reaching out to say I spoke to her and that you needed to clear it up because it's not looking good. You already know what she's alleging because you apologized on video. Please log off and get some sleep so you can respond. Yeah, I mean, what Aiden's saying makes complete sense. He admitted on video, he apologized on video to what happened. And he said in his Twitch stream, oh, it's not a big deal. It's biological. Guys do that all the time. And now Twomad's pretending that he doesn't even know what they're talking about. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. So Twomad keeps tweeting that he's innocent. He says no one's corroborating evidence and they're just taking her word at face value. But then he also says he's not going to give the details to anyone. He's going to wait for her to drop her side of the story first, with one exception. He tweets, I'd do an interview with someone who would do a good job and debunk every little misconception possible and get me dead to rights on what did I do. So basically what I'm reading here, what I'm hearing too bad, is you would only do an interview with someone who's willing to see this from your point of view only and debunk everything you disagree with and then get you dead to rights on what you did to do. So you're not going to admit anything. They have to come and accuse you, and then you're going to do what? Deflect? You're going to admit? You're going to wait for them to say the right thing and then you're going to say yes or no? Like, what are you expecting? Do you know what an interview is? So why would someone accused of something terrible wait to tell their side of the story until the accuser tells their full details first? Let's kind of think of this with an open mind. Option one, on the side of Twomad is completely innocent. So if you're completely innocent and you're doing this, what could the reason be? Innocent option one, he doesn't want to give his story because he doesn't think it's worth his time. However, the fact that he's tweeted over 400 times in 2 days and has not stopped tweeting about this, and I don't think he's even slept in 2 days, immediately debunks that. This is definitely worth his time. So what's the next option? Innocent option two. Twomad's ego is so big that he doesn't want to drop his character for 5 minutes and make a serious response, right? He doesn't want to stop hiding behind Le Funny Ego Man and actually address this for 5 seconds, but he'd rather shitpost on Twitter for 2 days about it. That's innocent option two. He could still do that in a world where he didn't do any of this stuff. Innocent option three. Twomad doesn't want to give a serious statement because he's worried that there's pending legal action or a police case, and therefore he doesn't want to put anything in video or in writing that's serious. But if that was the case, why would he be tweeting so much? So I think that one's debunked as well. Innocent option four. Twomad actually believes that posting on Twitter is a more effective strategy to prove his innocence than making a serious video. So Henry Wallace, this guy on Twitter, says, man, just apologize and take responsibility instead of making excuses. Twomad quote tweets this and says, Bit, you want to act stupid and then believe the fake ass apology video. If you want to be smart and demand responsibility, then you ought to consider that not every single rumor is true or false. To some extent, I can understand that, but at the same time, why keep tweeting incendiary stuff that is only digging the hole deeper? So those are 4 options why he might be doing this if he's completely innocent. So now let's look at some options if he's guilty. Let's say that maybe all of what Bella is saying is true. Maybe even more happened than what she talked about. Maybe it's even worse than we know so far. Maybe only part of what she said is true. Maybe it's like half and half, or maybe they both wronged each other. Let's think about why he would refuse to tell his story in that case. Guilty option 1. Twomad is worried that if he tells his story before she does, he might unintentionally reveal more information than she does. And by requiring her to define the scope of the conversation, he ensures that anything she leaves out will never see the light of day, and he can just pick apart her argument without bringing any new information in. This is a very common strategy that we see in these kind of situations. It's honestly like a pretty decent legal strategy, but it doesn't make you look like an innocent person who is defending your innocent reputation. Guilty option 2. He is guilty and his ego is huge. Pretty self-explanatory. Guilty option 3. His constant shit posting on Twitter ensures that his fans will harass Bella maximally and potentially silence her. That way he can come back and claim that this whole thing was a meme and that she was lying. Maybe he thinks that if he just continues tweeting 200 times a day that she will shut up and go away, and it's evident that she's already received a lot of harassment. So maybe this is his way of doing that. If he never released a serious statement or apology, then he can say it was a lie. And finally, guilty option 4. Twomad is worried that there may be a legal response or police case, and since he believes he may have some guilt, then he is not going to issue a serious statement so that he can't be incriminated. However, if that was his true reason for not sharing his story, that wouldn't make any sense because he's been tweeting for 2.5 days now. That said, Twomad may yet change his mind and release a video of his own explaining his side of the story, because soon after he tweeted, "Wait, if I drop my side, doesn't that force her to refute my claims? LOL bet." And then he quickly followed it up with, "How do I defeat this woman?" Twomad then begins to paint himself as a victim in this situation. He says, "Am I being modern Twitter YouTuber version of a la mega trolled cyberbullied?" He then goes on to reply to a fan, and the fan said, "Question, how was your apology to her coerced?" Genuine question here, not trying to get an own, but trying to piece this all together to get a better picture. Twomad says, "Yeah, so she blocked me on everything, so my last ditch effort was to read an apology I knew wasn't true to get unblocked. I was sent by Digital Rave Boy. He helped me out because he's a DJ who had sex with a 14-year-old when he was an adult. That guy, but him and Goldie Bell are friends." Twomad then says, "Prediction, I'm gonna take Backlash temporarily, make a detailed, funified video that will dwarf your tweets. I'll pretend to I don't give a fuck. You're going to realize that being a crazy person incel ain't a death sentence, and I'll retain decent viewership. Hoes mad." He then goes on to dox Bella. He posts a picture of her face and her full name, which I have censored, and he says, "Isabella, do everything except the detailed account of this assault," and then her last name. This is a really innocent guy just defending his innocence, just doxing his accuser. He did later go on to delete this. He then says, "I don't like little girls." So which one are we supposed to believe, Twomad? I'm a little bit confused at this point. He then says, "Anyone using fast and loose tweets against one of the most creative YouTube editors." Yeah, how dare anyone use your own words against you? How dare anyone look at your Twitter and take any of it seriously? You should just be able to say whatever you want forever, and nobody should ever take any of it seriously. And not because of any valid reason, but because you're one of the most creative YouTube editors. That's why we should disregard your tweets? We should disregard your tweets because you're a good YouTube editor? I don't follow, bud. Twomad then tweets, "Developing young crazy YouTube man versus crazy broke art student with nothing to lose. Based combo." You're telling me that you're a developing young man and she's just a crazy art student with nothing to lose. If that were really the case, why did you admit to all this stuff you didn't do on video and admit to all this stuff you didn't do in a written contract that you signed? If you have so much to lose, if you have so much more than her, why are you begging on 6 different phone numbers for a taste? What you're saying and the way you're acting are completely different. There is absolutely no congruence here. So this is FPS Diesel. FPS Diesel went live the night of June 25th, and he had DM'd Twomad, and he outlines what their conversation was like in this video. So let's take a watch.
"I don't understand your broad-ass questions. Be more specific." So I was more specific. "This girl, you and her had some kind of relationship. You dated. Am I correct in this assumption? She seems to refer to an event in broad terms. Is there a specific incident there was miscommunication in? Perhaps they had sex and it was really bad, right? Was this specific incident you were coerced?" So now I'm using his language. He says he was coerced via that sticky note into giving an apology. So I ask, what was a specific incident you were coerced to apologize for via that sticky note I see? She felt bad, so why? The accusation is vague, but you were there. You know specifics. The specifics would help exonerate you. Like, if there's an event, what is the event, if any? If there's not an event, then she's straight up lying. Was I not clear?
Yeah, and he, in my opinion, I think FPS Diesel was very clear. I don't think that he said anything wrong here. I think his questions make sense. And then Twomad replies, "My brother in Christ, you're asking broad questions." He said, "Were you dating? And what was the event? So what was the actual event that she says you assaulted her? FPS Diesel then goes on to say this is very specific. The video alludes to some event. What is the event? Twomad, I'm live right now. Maybe it's better we speak. It's funny because Twomad starts replying once he realizes that FPS Diesel is live. He said, oh, I thought I explained that in my tweets already. Yeah, coerced apology. But in it, you discuss like some event, and she does too. So I'm asking what this event was. Unless you're saying nothing happened. And Twomad says, oh, the sexual assault? Yeah, dumbass. What the else would we be talking about? FPS Diesel says she hasn't given details, so what occurred, or were you coerced into saying something did occur? Twomad says, oh yeah, so what did occur just isn't as severe. Something happened, but he won't say what. Diesel says, so what occurred? You say advances occur you weren't comfortable with. You say this under coercion according to you, but what's the reality of the situation? I'm asking for details. Twomad says, I'm gonna post them probably. So a comprehensive statement of what happened, when did you expect to have that? Twomad says, and then FPS Diesel says, basically you say the essay didn't happen, it was something less severe. What's the matter? And then Twomad just fails to reply, and FPS Diesel says, let's talk in a call. And then Twomad says, no, N-word, I'm not giving you the inside scoop for your content. I'll post it when I am ready. So the next logical question is, if this all happened a while back, would there be any record? Shouldn't there be some kind of evidence? Well, there is. Bella says, no, it's from July 2022 on my birthday. I have a tweet from a day or two after on my account saying something like, why send that on my birthday, man, as an indirect? So she claims she was subtweeting Twomad when it happened. And it turns out that she actually did. 2022 in July. So yeah, just about a year ago, she was subtweeting. And then here are some more tweets from that time. She says, right before I forget, I wasn't joking. If you try to contact me ever again, I'm going to file the police report. So don't try it. Worst part is I know for a fact he's still doing that stuff to other people. You man, I hope you regret it. It's not an excuse that a person just is that way. That's wrong. These people make decisions to do what they're doing and face almost no backlash most of the time because people like me are too scared about the reaction people will have. Be glad it wasn't you. And yeah, what she's talking about is Twomad tweeting 400 times and getting his fans to go harass her. She was scared for about 11 months of that. I would have been scared too. Like, you can see the reaction that she gets on Twitter. If you go look at any of the replies, it's wild. She then says back in 2022, reading about the Twitch drama, really testing me right now. You're lucky I don't feel like dealing with your shitty audience and incels. She then posts a text message allegedly from Twomad from around that time, July of 2022. Note the screenshot, the time and the date that we have on this screenshot. So this is actually one of the texts that we read earlier from one of the burner accounts, and the one where he says he's addicted to drugs and his emotional maturity is nothing, proving that all those messages were spammed around the time that she claims that the assault happened. So this is all corroborating evidence. So what is the outcome of all this? What's going to happen next? Are they going to go to court? Well, Aiden Project from earlier says the girl who is accused Twomad of SA is unable to elaborate right now as legal action is pending. If this is truly the case, Twomad will have his day to defend himself in court. We unfortunately just have to wait right now before concluding anything, but it's not looking good on his end. Bella earlier had replied to a fan who was harassing her, and she said, yeah, why wouldn't I? I hid about it forever because he's terrifying, and I was still freshly traumatized, plus because people like you coming after me, it's exhausting. But now everyone agrees we hate this guy, and he finally left me alone, so it's a better time. The person replies, look, I'm not calling you a liar. You're just going to need to produce legal at that point. She says, I am broke. I can't do much legal stuff. I'm just saying what happened. Jameski replies and says, F it, I'll pay for it. So this is Jameski. Jameski's a huge YouTuber, and he has had beef with Twomad in the past. A couple years ago, they were good friends. They were kind of roommates, but there was some friction between them, and they ended up, making videos on each other, getting into a big public spat. Twomad later said that he regretted that, but Jameski did defend himself. So there was a whole public thing a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So Twomad is still continuing to tweet. He's still tweeting up until this moment. I don't think he's slept for 2 days. He has done everything from dox this girl, brag about his YouTube views, said that she has no money, painted himself as a developing young man. He says he's developing young, crazy YouTube man. He's developing young man moment. He's just going through a developing moment. He's a developing boy. He's just so young and innocent, and that's really the sum of his defense right now. And I understand, Twomad, that you never painted yourself as some like virtuous, virtue signaling, like good guy YouTuber who stands for social justice or anything like that. But your content was a lot more entertaining when you weren't like bullying and doxing some 19-year-old girl who's obviously terrified of you, regardless of what actually happened. You told FPS Diesel that something happened, but it wasn't as severe as whatever was claimed. And then you were on video apologizing for something. You signed a document apologizing for something. And then I understand that you later claimed that you were reading off the car windshield, that sticky note when you made the apology that was videotaped. You say that that friend was trying to help you make her feel better and that you didn't actually agree or have a hand in writing the apology. But even if all that is true, Why did you do it? I think no matter what the level of guilt turns out to be for Twomad, whether it ends up in court or a civil lawsuit or whatever it ends up being, when you're tweeting stuff like when my hoe has to go to cringe 9 to 5 because she chose art school degree fast and loose because rich parents and gets no following long term and I still get tons of YouTube views, I don't think you're going to be getting tons of YouTube views in the future, man. Sorry. That's all I got for now. If there are big updates or resolution to this, expect another video from me. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.